Jai Srimad Narayan. Jai Srimad Narayan. Jai Srimad Narayan. I pay my obeisances to my spiritual master, Srimad Jagat Guru Sadashan Acharya Ji Maharaj. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to the Purva Acharyas. I pay my obeisances to the 12 Alvars. I pay my obeisances to Mother Lakshmi. And I pay my obeisances to Lord Srimad Narayan. I welcome all of you here, physically at the Sri Narayan Dham in Durban, South Africa. I welcome those that's watching this discourse locally, nationally, and internationally. And I welcome in advance those that's going to be watching this discourse when it is posted on YouTube and the various groups from around the world. We continue on our topic, ABC to spirituality. And I'm going to read a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is one of the 18 Puranas and one of the 6 Purana in Satagun. I'm starting with Canto 6, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 3, Text 25. And this is your best friend and associate speaking. Who is your best friend and associate? No. You've heard of Mr. Yamraj. You've heard of Mr. Yamraj? You've heard of Mr. Yamraj, Jessica? This verse is by him. And I'm quoting, because they are bewildered by the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yajnavalkya and Jaimini and other compilers of religious scriptures cannot know the secret, confidential religious system of the 12 mahajanas. Full stop. They cannot understand the transcendental value of performing devotional service or chanting the name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because, full stop, because the minds are attracted to the ritualistic ceremonies mentioned in the Vedas, especially the Yajur Veda, Sama Veda and Rig Veda, their intelligence has become dumb. Full stop. Thus, they are busy collecting the ingredients for ritualistic ceremonies that yield only temporary benefits, such as elevation to Svargaloka for material happiness. Full stop. They are not attracted to the Sankirtana movement, semicolon. Instead, they are interested in Dharma, artha, and kama. Full stop. So who is saying this? Your best? Whom you are waiting in anticipation. Great anticipation. Are you?
No.
Nobody wants to see Mr. Yamraj soon. Or ever. Jai Bhai? Nobody wants to meet Mr. Yamraj. Anyone want to meet Mr. Yamraj? Those that don't want to meet Mr. Yamraj, those are the transcribing capitals, bold capitals. those that do not want to meet Mr. Yamraj. Find a bona fide guru after due diligence. Handcuff yourself to his feet and you'll never meet Mr. Yamraj. Ever in any of your lifetimes. In any of your lifetimes. Again, those that do not want to ever see Mr. Yamraj. Find a bona fide spiritual master after due diligence. And I'm saying due diligence because if you do not do due diligence and you find anyone who makes himself appear as a spiritual master, you will definitely meet Mr. Yamraj. You will definitely meet Mr. Yamraj. Guaranteed. So make sure you do due diligence. And after you do due diligence, that spiritual master will ensure that Yamraj can never get into your domain. Neither will you get into Yamraj's domain. See you waiting patiently for the secret, great secret. That is why. Patiently for this great secret. You don't even want to hear the name Yamraj. Many of you had experienced Yamraj with your family. In the last days, they stop talking. When Yamraj is in the neighborhood, they stop talking. They become fearful. They see the associates of Yamraj about to take them away. Have you noticed? So you have your own practical experience. Your own practical experience. But before I go in depth and reveal this great secret to you, I want to take you on a journey of rational thinking and simplistic argument. God has given you, besides your mind, intellect. And when you come to discourses in the Sankirtana Yajna system, you do not use your mind. You switch off your mind. And it's simple. If ESCOM cuts our electricity now on load shedding that we are currently experiencing in South Africa, then on my board there, what board you call that, Tana? DB. I have a switch. I press the switch and I go to solar. lights will still be on, and all the functions that's supposed to take place will still take place, but I am using another energy source. Similarly, when you come to a satsang of a bona fide spiritual master, you switch your mind, your body will still work, your eyes will still see, your ears will still hear, your nose will still smell, but you change now from one energy source to another energy source. Now if you look at the electrical energy source from our own ESCOM, then this energy source is not pure. Why is it not pure? Okay.
Maybe because it's not natural.
Yes, it's unnatural. We're burning coal. We're burning coal. It is an impure source for the energy. But then when I switch to solar, same energy, same function, everything is the same, but I'm using pure sun rays to activate the energy in this ashram. So the mind is always impure. The mind is always impure like the energy from ESCOM. The discourse that I'm giving is pure. If you dilute purity into impurity, what happens? It ultimately becomes impure. So you have to switch your mind to your intellect. Switch the mind to the intellect, all the same functions will continue. But now intellect is not tainted. Intellect is not tainted with the contamination of the mind. Intellect is not tainted with the contamination of the mind. When you switch to intellect, then you shut your mind up. You don't say what the Guruji is saying. Is it right? Is it wrong? No, can't be. Too far-fetched. The mind takes you on this journey, not the intellect. The intellect has capacity to recept and receive the knowledge that a bona fide spiritual master expounds. You understand? So I didn't hear any clicks. Siddharth?
Yes.
I didn't hear any clicks of the switching from the mind to the intellect. Because you've been using the same mind in this creation for 155 trillion years. The same mind, same soul, same mind. Intellect is brand new. Intellect is brand new. So the lever is stuck in the mind. And when you come to satsang, the potency of the transcendental knowledge eases the rust from the lever that is locked onto the mind. And it allows you to turn the switch to the intellect. And this is why you need to come to satsang regularly. Regularly. Because the switch needs lubrication. Switch from mind to intellect needs lubrication. Not Q20. Q20 don't work. Only the Guru's voice, whether you like it or you don't. Sita. Whether you like it or you don't, the only lubricant to ease this switch from mind to intellect is the voice of the Guru. You understand? So I want to get into some logical understanding. Logical understanding. Alright? So Mr. Kimlan, if you want to know who your great-grandfather is, how will you start the investigation?
My parents.
With your
Parents.
why?
Because they're the closest to me.
They are the only absolute scientific link to your great-grandparents. Absolute scientific link to your great-grandparents. Because the DNA in them is contained within the DNA of your
Parents.
great-grandparents. So if you want to know family affairs, what your great-grandfather did, what your great-great-great-grandfather did, and what your grandfather did, you go to family knowledge. You go to family knowledge. And they are the best people and the authorized people to give you information because they lived, they saw, they felt. They are concrete evidence. Is it not? Yes. Then you put full stop. You put family can then only give you knowledge about their tradition and knowledge of your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents. Full stop. If you want to know about God and the cosmic administrators, then your family cannot give you that knowledge. And this is the mistake in Sanatan Dharma. This is the mistake in Sanatan Dharma. Because you say, my great-grandfather did it like this, my great-grandfather prayed like this, my great-grandfather worshipped like this, my great-grandfather sacrificed like this, and this is why I am following it. So let's get back again to the question I asked you. Your ancestors only have qualification in their ancestors. They are only qualified scientifically to give you information on their ancestors. And their ancestors are only qualified to give you information on their ancestors. Is it logical? Is it logical? And I said full stop. Unless your ancestors have a spiritual DNA that is connected to one of the 4 spiritual systems that are in the scriptures. There are only 4 spiritual systems that has been authorized by the Lord. First, foremost and principal system is the Sri Sampradaya headed by Mother Lakshmi. Is the Sri Sampradaya. Sampradaya means tradition. The foremost and principal tradition is the Sri Sampradaya headed by Mother Lakshmi. The second system is the Brahma Sampradaya headed by Lord Brahma. The third system is the Kumara system, Sampradaya headed by the four Kumara brothers. And the fourth system is the Rudra Sampradaya headed by Lord Shiva. These are the only four authorized systems of spirituality as per Vedic injunctions. So if you claim to be a Hindu, then you must belong in one of these four systems. If you claim to be a Hindu, then you must belong to one of these four systems. If you do not belong to these four systems, then I don't know what your religious or spiritual identity is. I don't know. The Guru doesn't know. You can only belong to these four systems. And the Sri Narayan Dham belongs to the Sri Sampradaya headed by Mother Lakshmi, which is the principal system in Sanatan Dharma. Principal means foremost. The Sri Sampradaya headed by Mother Lakshmi, of which the Sri Narayan Dham is an affiliate, is the foremost system in Sanatan Dharma. So if your ancestors has a spiritual DNA belonging to one of these four systems, then they can tell you who your ancestors are and who God is and who the cosmic administrator are. If they are not, then you must find a bona fide spiritual master after due diligence who belong to one of these four authorized spiritual institutions. Is it logical? Is it logical, Jana? You have to have a system in place. For everything else, there's a system in place, isn't it? You know? In your family, you have a system in place. You must get up in the morning at a certain time, take your daughter, lodge her at school at a certain time, come home, assist your wife in a certain time, and then go pick your daughter up, bring her back, assist with the homework. There's a system. You don't just live, sit and live and say, my grandfathers did it this way. Otherwise your daughter will be learning under a tree. You understand? So for everything else in your life, you don't follow your ancestors. Do you? I don't see you have a huge garden there, milking cows, planting beans. But only when it comes to religion and spirituality, then you take the easy way out. You don't want to invest any time in learning religion, neither do you want to invest any time in learning spirituality. So the easiest way out, Acharya, is, I can't hear you, Acharya. Your mom is shocked. Last year Mr. Maharaj lost his voice in the satsang. Easiest way out is, my parents did it this way, my grandparents did it this way, and that is why I am doing it. Isn't? Because you don't want to study, you don't want to be diligent, you don't want to be principled, you want to throw the buck on your ancestors. God has given us 545,000 verses on how to live your life as a human being. 545,000 verses from the 4 Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita, the Brahma Sutras, the Mahabharata, and the Ramayana. All these books collectively, all these scriptures, 545,000 verses. Why would God give you an excess of 500,000 verses on how to live your life? You think He just kept it there? Or you think He wants human to utilize those verses? Think He's there for animals, fish, cow, donkey, plants, or is it for human? Human? Are you understanding? So you go to your ancestors for family clarification. And you go to your guru for God clarification. Your family is expert in family matters, and your guru is expert in God, the Lord. You understand? Like I wanted to sort our leaking systems out. So what did you do to them?
Got a plumber.
Because the plumber is authorized and he has knowledge in sorting the systems. So similarly, when you want understanding in religious and spiritual matters, then, and I'm saying again, due diligence, because there's a lot of people today that have already taken thousands from you. I can see. Alright? And I'm saying, there's quite a few people came to my satsang over my 8 years. And they say, Guruji, can you see? I say, yes. I see you here with me. Alright? Can you see my past? Can you see my future? Can you see whether I have a job next week? Say, no, I can't see, but I'll be able to make you see. If you follow my teachings, I'll be able to make you see. Don't you think it's greater for you to see what you can achieve than the Guru to see what you can achieve? You must be the recipient. Similar?
Yes.
You like the Guru to see, or you want to see? Yes, you want to see. Okay? So many people have spent many hundreds of thousands of times by going to places and people that claim to be religionists or spiritualists. This is rife in Sanatana Dharma, unfortunately. It is rife in Sanatana Dharma, unfortunately. Sanatana Dharma has given enough information how to remedy any problem in your life. Any problem in your life. And we use the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. We take examples from the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. And we take example from legends, which is found in the Puranas. And the verse that I read to you is Yamraj talking to his associates. Yamraj talking to his associates when they went to pick up a soul. When his associate went to pick up a soul, they got the fright of their lives. Because Lord Narayan sent his associates to pick up the same soul. Lord Narayan said, go and pick up that soul. So there was Yamraj aids and there was Lord Narayan's aids. Who you think won? Yamraj's aids are called Yama Dut or Dutas. Yama Dutas, and Lord Narayan's aids are called Vishnu Duts or Vishnu Dutas. So we got some time and we'll give you a legend. A legend is something that happened many years ago, and it is recorded in the Puranas, and I read a verse from there. Alright? So there used to be a handsome young man called Jaimini. A handsome young man called Jaimini. He went to Gurukul, he learned the Vedas, then he got married according to Vedic rites to a beautiful woman, a chaste woman who comes from a Vedic background. And he had a few children. And his dad asked him to go to the forest and bring some flowers and fruits for a ritual that they were performing. And when he was coming out of the forest, he saw who he saw.
Yamraj.
I can see. Lord Narayan never keep the door locked.
Yeah.
So I can see all of you are going the other way. What did he see? He saw a male, a drunken male, and a female embracing. Embracing and kissing, and this memory got imprinted in his mind. He went ahead, he went home, he concluded his ritual with his dad, and the mind kept coming back to that. Don't do, sir. Don't do, sir. This man went to Gurukul. He was born in Vedic times. 100% Vedas. How many percent?
100%.
Yes. But where his mind kept running? The see a lot of minds running here, Dave. Dave. I see a lot of minds running, spinning. Where did Ajamir's mind return? It returned to the scene of this drunken man and this prostitute. She was a prostitute. And his mind kept getting anchored on this scene. And ultimately, he left his wife for this prostitute, and he had 10 children from her. How many children?
10.
Loud, don't
10.
cry. Yes, why not going to kill you? 10 children. It means this is how much he was engrossed in this prostitute. At the age of 80, let the story finish. And I was already thinking, let the story finish. At the age of 80, he had a 2-year-old son. At the age of 80, he had a son, and he named his son Narayan. He named his son Narayan. What would make him name his son Narayan? He was in this world. He was in this murky lifestyle. He was in this deep in a dark place. But what you think made him, towards the end of his life, his last child, at 80, Satish, at 80, named his son Narayan.
Intellect was still active.
No, intellect was active, he wouldn't have been there. He went to Guru. In the back of his mind, he knew the Absolute, although he was overwhelmed. Right in his depths, he knew the truth. So at death, at the point of death, I think his child was 2, when Yamraj came and knocked on his door. For those of us that have children, for some reason, we all tend to love our youngest child the most. And when Yamraj knocked on the door, he screamed, not out of affection for Lord Narayan, notwithstanding the fact that he went to Gurukul, out of affection for his son Narayan, he screamed, Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. And it is a Vedic injunction that anyone encountering death, last word or thought on the Lord gets liberated. It is a Vedic injunction, which is absolute. Absolute means there's no emotions and no stories and no technicalities. So when Lord Narayan heard his name being called at the point of death of Ajamil, what was his duty to do? Send the Vishnu Dutas to bring the soul to him, because that is a Vedic injunction. The Vedic injunction does not say and does not judge. It does not judge. who calls out his name at the point of death. The injunction does not, there is no judgment because the injunction is absolute. Like fire is absolute. If you light fire and a 2-year-old child touches the fire, will get equally burnt, although the child have no knowledge what fire is, than one who has knowledge of what fire is. Fire is fire. And similarly, if you call out Lord Narayan's name at the point of death, no matter who you are and what your past is and whatever you have been involved in, he will send the Vishnu Dutas to pick you. He will send the Vishnu Dutas to pick you. At the same time, when you are involved in unrighteousness and you die, it is an absolute injunction that Yamraj must pick you up. So what did Yamraj do? He sent the Yamadutas to pick Ajam. And when these two groups of people came to pick Ajamil, then there was a battle for the soul. And ultimately, the Vishnu Dutas took the soul to Lord Narayan. And that is why this verse was given that I read initially. And in this verse, Yamraj states, and Yamraj is one of the 12 mahajanas. What are mahajanas? Authorities. And there's only 12. I'll read it out to you next week. How many there are? 12. There are only 12 mahajanas. In the 12 mahajanas, there's no nani, there's no nana, there's no aji, there's no ajas, there's no tata, party. Only 12 mahajanas. Yamraj is one of them. Again, no nanis, no nanas, no ajis, no ajas. So you can't say anything religious or spiritual and back it with your grandparents, their grandparents, their grandparents, unless they belong to one of the 4 authorized systems and they had a spiritual DNA. So my granddaughter Shweta, she can say I'm doing this because my grandfather did it. And will she be right, Amita? But you, Amita, cannot say the same thing. Do you understand? Because her grandfather is a grandfather and a guru at the same time. Are you all understanding what I'm trying to say? Her grandfather is a guru from the Sri Sampradaya and is also her grandfather. So if she wants, she can say, I'm doing it like this because my grandfather is doing this. All of you understand? So this is the importance of attending satsang. When you attend satsang, your mind is neutralized. Mind is neutralized and the intellect comes into being. Mind is neutralized, intellect comes into being, so that when you go home, you take bits. Every family should do this. That's here in a satsang as a family. when you go home, you should spend 3 times more than the amount of time you spent here at the Satsang reasoning through the discourse given by the Guru. Reasoning the discourse given by the Guru. You should imbibe instructions that are in the discourse, and you should discuss. You should discuss, and you can also research. Although it is not proper to undermine the Guru's teachings, but I'm giving you permission from me specifically. Not all the Gurus, me specifically, I'm saying whatever I discuss, you have technology at your fingertips. You can also go and do research. Don't do research to show you found a fault with the Guru. Do research to enhance your own understanding. Do research to enhance your own understanding, and when you cannot understand, come back to the Guru with your research. Many people, spirituality is like a menorah blade. Spirituality is like a menorah blade. How many of you remember the menorah blade? I think Kimlan, that was long before your time.
I used it this morning.
Menorah.
Still exists.
Still exists, okay. Alright. So, you have this Gillette, Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3 or Mark 3 with all the sensors and lubricants, like your wife shaving. Well, I don't think like your wife shaving, You don't will take the time?
Not with the menorah blade.
If Esmond was there, he'd say the Guru never changed. So when you shaving with the menorah blade dictates the position of the area to be shaved. Not you. You notice people shaving in front of the mirror, the menorah, all type of gestures with the mouth to meet the blade. And if you don't meet the blade point for point on the surface of your skin, Jai, what will happen?
Keep the skin out.
That's what spirituality is about. That is what spirituality is about. If you are not careful, you will slip and cut yourself. You will slip and cut yourself. This is why I'm advising you. I'm also giving you a mandate. I'm saying go out and research every discourse of this Guru, of me. Every discourse that I'm discussing, research it. Whilst research it, don't get greater than the Guru. Whilst researching it, don't get greater than the Guru, otherwise you're going to cut yourself. Otherwise you're going to sit up, cut yourself. Because the Guru knows how much spices to put in a particular curry for a particular taste, for a particular person. Guru knows how much of information to give you at which time of your life. There's 30 of you here. All of you all are not in class 1. Together. Some of you are in class 1, some in standard 5, some in standard standard 3. So the Guru gives his information according to the capacity of the class. Mostly if there is someone in class 1, then the Guru will keep giving information for class 1. Because spirituality, the more it is repeated, the more it cleanses your consciousness. The more it cleanses your consciousness. Are there any questions? So how do we sum up this discourse today? And what is the significance of satsang? So I train you. In this satsang, I train you to remember meditation in its real terms. Meditate means constant remembrance. Meditate means constant remembrance. So I teach you to constantly remember the Supreme Lord. I teach you to constantly remember the Supreme Lord, and if you remember Him constantly, then there is a guarantee you will remember Him at the point of or if something untoward is happening. If you see a fire, you are in the middle of that fire. If you see an accident that's approaching, and if you remember God, you will either bypass the accident, or if you cannot bypass it, then you will go to God. You understand? All of you understand it? So the Guru teaches you to practice the Lord's name continuously. And this is why I gave you all the Vishnu Sahasranam. I said, hear it in the background. It must be like a radio playing in the background of your mind. If you are hearing it all the time, it is working on you. It is working on you. If you come to this ashram anytime, you can come to catch me out too. You can come to catch me out, but you'll always hear the Vishnu Sahasranam playing in this ashram. Anytime you land here. Anytime. You hear the Vishnu Sahasranam playing. Okay? As long as the ashram is open. Are there any questions at this point? So God is absolute, and He has proven Himself as being absolute, notwithstanding the fact that you may get messed up in life. Please, Kimlan, Jay, Paddy, Satish, Dana, all of you that have wives, do not do what Ajamil did and think you'll be liberated. This discourse is not for that. This discourse is not for that. Don't go home and start thinking of that image that was stuck in Ajamil's mind and think you too have been authorized by the Guru to go that way. Jai Shri Manna.